Yo, let's go. Welcome to the BMW Trading Podcast. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking to you about the art of dedication. And I want to talk to you about this because when I first got into getting into business, when I first got into investing, when I first got into trading, like when I first got into, like when I was a kid, like when I first even started playing baseball, football, like anything that I did, I understood that it required a certain amount of like effort from me, you know. It required some sort of like love and like motivation for me. Like I had to be determined to go do it. I had to be dedicated, to be good at, to even be considered like a better player on the team, like back then or even now in investing, like to even be able to be considered a great trader or to even be considered like, it don't even matter what they consider me like, but even in my own eyes, to even be able to make as much money as I do, I have to be dedicated, to the process. I have to be dedicated in the beginning, especially, and I'm even more dedicated now because I'm on the verge of everything that I want, and it's because I've been dedicated for so long, Dedication is required from your desire. If you desire if you desire to have $1 million, if you desire is to own the Empire State Building, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, like it was gonna require your dedication to actually completing that goal. Like that could be the only thing that you think about when you wake up. Is doing that. Like, all right, but how can I get to the Empire State? How can I own it? How can I make enough money to get into this spot to go do this? Go get to the people that now it's mine. Now I finna change the name to the Scott Building. Like how can I get to that level of even living? It requires a certain amount of dedication. Dedication, you have to go want to understand the knowledge. Before I go too far, let me break it down like this. There's 5 things you need. It's 5 things you need when it comes to dedication, right? 5 things you need when it comes to dedication. The first one is love. You have to have a certain amount of love. Number one, you have to move with love. Like whenever you're doing anything, like especially when it comes to starting a business, like starting a business and you want that business to be on the Forbes list, like and you're dedicated to that. Your business has to move with integrity. Like your business has to have love in it. And so it has to come from the heart. It has to mean something to somebody. It has to mean something to everybody. So you have to have love. Love is like the first thing, always move with love, every time. And like I say, number one is you move with love, but you also have to wrap your business in love, like on some, everybody that comes into your business is loved, everybody that's an employee is loved, everybody that's a customer is loved, that's how it goes. And that's just with the business, but when it comes to investing, like you have to love what you're doing. I love the charts, I love the charts. I love being able to draw a trend line, understand what the fib levels is. I understand that shit to a T. And it's like I loved it from the beginning. And that's why I've been so dedicated to this point. That's why I've done what I've done. But the love in the beginning, it sometimes it's not there. Sometimes the love isn't there in the beginning, but you develop the love on the way. And that's the main thing. Like you can develop the love as you go. When it comes to becoming dedicated or when it comes to being dedicated, in certain journeys, like it's gonna take you a longer time, so things will have to develop. But you have to once you get everything in alignment, then is when opportunity will meet preparation. So love, that's number one. Number 2 is awareness. Like you have to know what's going on in that field. Like you have to be aware of everything that could possibly happen. Because you never know, and it's gonna be up to you to be like heads up, so it's going to be up to you to have everything, every T crossed, every I dotted, it's going to be up to you to be on top of your game, because can't nobody do it for you, number one, that's what we know since kids, like, but aside from that, nobody is here to help you win sometimes. Nobody's here to help you win sometimes, so you got to make sure you know what's going on, everywhere, in every situation, like, it may not be good to be a jack of all trades, it may not be good for you to be like, the best at everything you do, but if you don't understand at least a little bit about everything, if you have to delve into something about something, like you might not be able to like get through it, depending on what it is, like whatever your goal is. Like when I say art of dedication, I don't want you all to think that it's like it got to be strictly dedicated to, like just business and investing. Like it's everything in life, bro. It's everything in life, but this podcast is mainly centered around business and investing. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're dedicated, and you got to make sure that you are aware of your competition. You got to make sure that you're aware of the knowledge of the industry. You know, you got to be aware of everything that could possibly happen. You know, when you're doing a certain job, when you're working on certain projects, things like that. Like, you have to be aware of the whole thing that's going on, and that falls on you. That falls on you. But like I said, these things can be developed. Like, my awareness got more developed the more that I tapped into the charts, the more that I tapped into owning my own business, the more that I tapped into building a team up of traders and people who are into entrepreneurship. Like, my awareness grew the more that I experienced in the industry, in the field, on the journey, you know. So it's like, your awareness will grow over time for sure, but you have to have some level of it, you know, to be dedicated enough to get to where you're going. And it's like, you can be dedicated to awareness in a sense. Understand? Okay, so when I'm talking about dedication, like, yes, you have to be dedicated to the goal, but you have to be dedicated to knowing what the goal is. You feel me? To being aware inside the goal, you have to be dedicated to this part too. You have to be dedicated to loving the dream. Like, you have to be dedicated to all these things, or it won't matter. It won't matter. You could be dedicated to the goal and don't do any of these things, and you still won't. The dedication comes from you putting time into these parts of the business, into the journey. Like, understanding you have to love the journey, love the process. Understanding that you have to be aware of what's going on. You have to. If you're not aware of what's going on, you're just moving blindly through this life. Like, understand that faith is blind, but your eyes are a light unto your feet. So make sure that you are aware. Make sure you're seeing what's in front of you. Be aware of what's going on. And another thing, you have to find ways to be motivated. And you have to be dedicated to that too, because I understand that where I'm from, it's not that much positivity. Now, it's just life, bro. It's life. Like, if you don't find the positivity in your own life, or if you don't motivate yourself, or if your parents aren't motivating you, if your brother not motivating you, if your sister not motivating you, you know what I'm saying? Like, then you gotta find it for yourself. If you go out into the streets and the streets don't motivate you, like, you gotta find it for yourself. Where your motivation comes from, that's on you. You know, like, what your experience has been thus far is like, let me say this. Your why will help you always be motivated. We're like, what's your reason for even getting into this business? What's your reason for even investing? What's your reason for even getting on this journey, or this weight loss journey? What's your reason of saying that I want to quit smoking? Like, what's your reasoning behind it? What's your why? That's your motivation, and think about it all the time. And think about it to the point where you are getting frustrated, like you getting angry because you want to be there. That's your motivation. Like, get there and then go learn something. You feel me? And then go learn something. Then go get on the charts. Go chart something up. You know, that don't mean put in a trade. You know, but that means chart it up. Use your anger as your energy. You know, because that's what it is. Like, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's only transferred. So you can use your energy in different ways, but you gotta understand how your brain patterns work, right? That's a whole other topic, though. You know, we can talk about that another day. But discipline is the next step. You have to develop some sort of discipline for yourself, meaning that you have to be able to tell yourself no sometimes. Sometimes you can't go out with your friends. Sometimes you can't kick it with the homies. Sometimes you can't smoke all the weed. Sometimes you can't go out to eat. Sometimes you can't do that kind of stuff. That stuff you gotta do away with it. You gotta sacrifice with it. You gotta sacrifice it sometimes. Mainly because if you don't sacrifice it, you'll keep making the same decisions and ending up in the same position that you was prior to today, and you don't want to be here no more. That's the dedication. Because you dedicated to the dream. You're more dedicated to the dream than you are to the past life that you've been living. So get some discipline about yourself. Start telling yourself, no, I'm not doing that no more. Raise your standards higher. Raise your vibrations higher. Do it differently. Discipline isn't bad. Like, we look at discipline bad because of how we were raised. Like whenever we think about disciplinary action, that's what we think, like the disciplinary action that we should take. So we instantly think about a whooping, we instantly think about detention, expulsion, like we think about the worst shit possible. But no, like discipline is you loving yourself enough to be like, man, I'm doing better. Like, man, I'm doing this. This is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it the best. That's the discipline. That's the discipline. And then the last thing, the fifth and final thing that will make or break your dedication is the application. If you don't apply the knowledge, if you don't apply the love, if you don't apply the awareness, like if you don't apply the motivation, if you don't apply the discipline to your daily life, then you are putting yourself behind 10 days. You're putting yourself behind 20 days. You're putting yourself behind 30 days if you don't apply it. The application is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Understand that you will develop the dedication. Like, dedication is like you'll develop the love, you'll develop the awareness, you'll develop the motivation, you'll develop the discipline, you'll develop the dedication through all five of those things. People will be like, he dedicated to the grind, like he dedicated to a meal, like he dedicated to his dreams, like he dedicated to the finish, dedicated to the end. And why they gonna say that? Because I love what I do. Because I'm aware of everybody else. I know exactly what's going on. I don't think I don't. Trust me, I know what's going on. You know, I'm always motivated. And I'm always motivating everybody else around me. And I'm disciplined. You know I'm waking up at 6 every day. You know I'm waking up at 5:30 every day. You know I'm always working out, praying, meditating in the morning, and I drink my tea. You know I'm already on that. I'm already like that. And it came through the application. I applied everything that I thought about. I'm like, all right, bet this how I'm going to be better. But I applied, boom, 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 boom. Now, and the reason why I applied it was because I was extremely dedicated. I was extremely dedicated to the grind. I was extremely dedicated to the goal, to the mission, to the idea that I could be better than what I was today. Be dedicated. Be aware. Be motivated. Be loved, you know. Be love to somebody who doesn't have love. Like, be love to the people who need love. Like, be love in this business. Be love in this industry. Be love in this, be love in whatever you do. Be love. You know? Be disciplined. And be the application. Stay dedicated. Stay on it. Be smooth.
Check out the new hit BMW Trading Podcast by DSCO every Wednesday on the HausHill Entertainment Networks. BMW Trading Podcast helps you gain more financial literacy to a better life. Head over to www.HausHillEntertainment.com or download the free HausHill Entertainment app exclusively for iPhone and Android devices.